Hi guys, it's Ben here from TRX Space Station. How's everyone doing? Time for a talkie video. Firstly, I just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas in the next few days and an awesome New Year. It's been a great year for me on YouTube, and I wanted to start this video off by saying a massive thank you to everybody who's subscribed to my channel, the guys who've been here for years, and also all of the new subscribers who've come along recently. As you may have noticed, I've finally passed the 700 subscribers mark, which is amazing, and I just feel so blessed and privileged to have you guys watching, commenting, and for all the friends that I've managed to make through doing this thing. It truly means a lot to me, and it's kind of like a Christmas present come early to have gone over the 700 subscriber mark. And yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you guys. I've been on YouTube for like 4.5 years now, and sometimes it can feel like a difficult uphill battle to get your channel going, but whenever I remember the friends that I've made on here, whenever you guys pop up in my feed and do video responses and stuff, it just makes the whole thing so worthwhile. So yeah, I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and say a massive thank you. As you can see, I'm trying to be at least a little bit Christmassy here with my Christmas tree in the background. It's kind of a skeletal, bare bones Christmas tree, but we wanted to do something a bit different this year, rather than having one of the big trees with pine needles that go all over the place and you have to clean them up. We've gone for this weird wintry aesthetic. I think 2017 has been an absolutely incredible year for video games. It's really, you know, sometimes games go through, video game industry goes through patches where it's like you have stints where there are a buttload of crazy good games, and then maybe slower years where there's only 1 or 2 titles. 2017 has definitely been one of those years where things have really hit a sweet spot. I mean, I've not got a Switch, I've only got a PS4, but even just looking at that one system alone, the number of phenomenal games that have come out is incredible, and I'm only just sort of still trying to catch up with it now. You know, some of the year's best rated and best reviewed games that people are putting in their top 10 games of 2017 I've not even played yet. Things like Nier Automata, for example, which is on my Christmas list, and Horizon Zero Dawn, which I just got for my birthday and I've only just started playing now. And these are massive games that shouldn't be rushed through. And of course the new Wolfenstein game at the end of the year. So I think it's just incredible how I feel so lucky that we're alive in this time, in this beautiful time in video games. You know, the quality of the games that I'm playing at the moment is blowing me away. I've just started playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and the graphics, the story, that feeling of adventure kind of reminds me when I first played, say, Morrowind or Skyrim. It's that amazing awe at the environment and the world that's been created. So what an awesome time to be playing video games, and what a great bunch of games we've had this year. I thought I might talk about the games that I've enjoyed playing the most this year. Now, these aren't games that necessarily came out in 2017, but I actually have completed quite a lot of games this year, but it's very hard to narrow it down to just a few. I think one that particularly impressed me was The Last Guardian. I played that right at the beginning of the year. It came out in December 2016, and so I just got it for Christmas and just played it just into the new year. You know, I'm a big fan of Shadow of the Colossus. Amazingly, we're going to get a PS4 HD remake for that, which is going to be superb. And the game has some of the similar feelings that game and Ico had. But I think it was a really unique idea that you would have this beast that would follow you around, that you had to teach and get it to do things, and this kind of relationship between you and the beast would pan out over the levels. It's just such a unique, innovative approach to a game that it really blew me away, and combined with the art style, those two things, you know, the kind of art style you can expect from a game like Ico or Shadow of the Colossus, it really touched me, and it was very moving, very beautiful. A game that left me with a lot of emotions at the end of it because of that relationship you develop with the beast. I know a few people criticize the game because of slightly clunky controls. Sometimes he doesn't do what you want him to. But I think you should try and look past that, because to me that stuff can be forgiven because of how beautiful and how great the game was. And I think games have to be brave and try something new. And sometimes when games do that, there may be little jarring elements that aren't quite perfect. But I'd much prefer a game that's slightly clunky in places that does something new than, say, a really streamlined Call of Duty number 17.3, whatever. It's a great game that tries something phenomenal, and I played it through pretty quickly because I got really addicted to it, and I just kind of got into the zone with it and wanted to blast through it. I've just recently played through Yakuza 0. Took me 45 hours because I was really distracted by some of the stuff in the game. And this was my first introduction to the Yakuza series, but I really enjoyed myself. I had such a fun time. If you've not played these games, they're set in Japan. They're based around the Yakuza gangs, and they're basically, in a way, they're a tribute to Sega. They're Sega games, but they feature so many fun Sega things, wacky arcade games, silly comedy, lots of fun mini games and sub stories and side quests, and several of Sega's most historic and well regarded arcade games are in the game that you can play, particularly Outrun, Super Hang-On, Space Harrier. It's fantastic. It's a beat 'em up game, kind of 3D brawler, a little bit over the top, a bit tongue in cheek, but also has a very serious and very interesting plot line going through it. But it's a game that's been injected with so many things to do. You could play the game for hours and hours and still not, barely touch the sides. I've been playing darts on it, I've been playing poker, I've been playing in the arcades, I've been singing karaoke, dancing disco. All of this stuff is put in there. It's like an amusement park of a game, and it's great to just chip into it and, naff around in the city, exploring stuff, playing some mini games and not really advancing the story. It's a fantastic game to noodle on, kind of in the way that the Grand Theft Auto games were when they first came out. It was that feeling of just wanting to be in the world and see it moving and be part of it. But these games are like that, but times 100. The level of detail, the amount of things you can do in them is overwhelming. I was thinking I might try and platinum trophy it, but I just thought, you know what, no way. It's over 100 hours of work. I'd have to play through the whole thing again to do that. And I just thought, I've enjoyed it, and I'll leave it there. But nevertheless, a great game. So those would be two games that left a big effect on me that I really, really did enjoy this year. And you could put lots of other titles in there, like Doom, which I managed to beat. I also played through the original, not original, but most recent Wolfenstein before the latest one. And I really enjoyed that as well. I did that in preparation of maybe getting the second one for Christmas. I played through Final Fantasy 15 and completed that, and that was really good too. So many great games, but I think those would be two that I would particularly hold up as being good. Now, it's interesting because I went into this year kind of with a New Year's resolution, or with a kind of plan that I would work on finishing games and trying to narrow my focus down to the games that were in front of me that I was playing, and not buying too many things, not being too distracted, trying to get a bit of a tunnel vision, actually. And I think it worked really well, and I've managed to kind of carry that on throughout the year. And I think it's there are some benefits to playing games like this. So I guess I kind of want to ask you guys a question, which is, do you find it hard to complete games? And if you do, what's the reason behind that? I think that most of us who have jobs and have a bit of surplus income have that kind of kid in a candy shop feeling, which is that you see it's shiny and you want it, and we all have that impulse to buy lots of games and keep acquiring. And in the past, I've been pretty terrible at buying games, playing them a little bit, not really getting too far into them, and then kind of fizzling out and leaving them, and then buying the next game and doing the same thing. And I posted on Twitter not that long ago that I've been trying consciously not to do that, because I think it is a bad habit. And the reason why I think it's a bad habit is because games are often carefully designed to be paced in a certain way and to be a package deal as part of a whole. And you only get a superficial experience if you only take it a little way and don't go all the way in. So those are still new experiences, going further into the game and seeing what's there. I think it can be superficial and a bit skittish if you keep moving on, and people have put a lot of work into these games and designed them to have rounded stories and endings and things. And I realise that I'm missing out on a lot of that if I skip through too many of them. And I've actually been enjoying my games much more by just focusing down on an individual title at a time and trying to beat it. I've really enjoyed some of the Sega Mega Drive games recently. I think those games are designed to be played over and over again so that you get a little bit better at them as you go through. and then eventually you beat them at some point, but after quite a bit of work. If you just sort of turn the Mega Drive off when you need to continue, you'll never quite see how the game's difficulty curves are quite carefully managed. They're about repeated practice, not losing lives in the earlier levels and getting slightly better at the earlier levels each time, so that when you get to the later levels, you've got more tries. And that's how to get satisfaction out of the old Mega Drive games, is to kind of be stubborn and determined, and just to keep going, keep trying, and you'll eventually get there. And I've beaten a lot of difficult Mega Drive games this year, things like Gainaug, and things like Atomic Runner, which took a hell of a lot of work, but the payoff and the satisfaction when you actually beat them is there. Now, I can see some reasons why the whole completion thing can be difficult. If you go back to times like the Atari 2600, games couldn't be beaten then, and it was about the experience and trying to rack up a high score. Whereas nowadays, well, there's much more choice, but also games have evolved to a level where actually beating a game may involve a serious investment of time, and a lot of us are short on time, and attention can only be paid to so many things at once. So I think that it is very demanding, certainly with this generation of games on the PS4 and Xbox One and stuff, or Breath of the Wild on the Switch. Games are demanding 30-40 hours as a minimum, and so it's intimidating, and the investment that's required is maybe much greater than it's ever been in the past, and so it's very difficult. And also things like Steam sales and good old games selling off large amounts of games for really cheap makes it very difficult to complete games. I've started to set myself some rules, which is to try to complete the physical games that I buy. So if I'm going to buy it physically, I'm intending to play it through and get my money's worth. I'm excluding all the hundreds of games I've bought for £1 or £5 or something on Steam, because that's just a massive library and you want to take a punt. So let me know what you think about that one, guys. Do you find it hard to beat games? Are you a person who buys lots of games and only gets a bit of the way through them, or what? And here's another point. I've actually recently been turning the difficulty down on some of the games, especially on Wolfenstein, which I found really hard. What do you feel like you're cheapening the game if you play it on an easy difficulty in order to finish it? Because I've actually realised I'd prefer to beat a game on an easier setting and see the whole experience than I would to play on a higher difficulty, because I feel otherwise it would be cheap, and then just get bored or frustrated and stuck. I think I probably am enjoying at the moment in the easier end of the spectrum, because I don't know, sometimes I'm quite tired after work and I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. But I know a lot of people feel a bit cheap about playing on easy mode and stuff, and it creates this kind of psychological hang-up where you're like, oh, you're just going to play it on easy, are you? That's not really playing the game properly. But it is, because at the end of the day, the game's there for your entertainment, and you should play it however the hell you want to. Nobody can really tell you anything else. It's just there is that little nagging thing in the back of the head there. The last thing I wanted to talk about was I posted a video a few months ago saying, is Vidme the new YouTube? And for anyone who's actually had a look, unfortunately Vidme is now closing down, which is pretty sad, to be honest. But I think a few people saw this in the water. I was quite optimistic, and I know a few people were as well, Novabug and some YouTubers who moved across and were posting on both sites. And I think I was optimistic because I was hoping for something other than YouTube in a way. Don't get me wrong, I think YouTube is a great site. I think those of us who have small channels could well attest to the fact that it can be very difficult to grow on YouTube. It can be very hard to get into the spotlight or to get new people to come and see your channel. And it feels like it's very easy to disappear into the ether. Plus, there are a number of things that are sort of people are griping about YouTube, like the adpocalypse and content ID strikes, and also the community on YouTube. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a fantastic retro gaming community, and I love you guys to bits. But also, I'm talking about for the big channels, the wider YouTube comments section issue is that there's a lot of trolls on YouTube. There's a lot of negative comments. There's a lot of unpleasantness and offense, and every big channel will have a comment section that's unintelligible shit. And so I kind of was hoping for something that would be more like Reddit, where Reddit often has a nicer community feeling. People respond more courteously, there's more reasoned debate, there's more detail, there's much less random trolling, I think. And so Vidme wanted to kind of do that. And it was also very good for pushing your videos when they first came out. You know, people would watch my videos, a lot of people would watch them straight away as they came. And I was optimistic that maybe it would give some of us small channels a chance to start on a new platform and be there at the beginning. But I guess what this has shown us is that YouTube has the money and the resources, and it's actually incredibly expensive and incredibly difficult to start a massive multimedia website like YouTube. I think that YouTube, it doesn't have a monopoly as such. There are other sites, but it almost does, because it has the power and the wealth, the support, and the big names. And so, yeah, I'm really disappointed. I really did like Vidme there. I thought we had a good thing going. Maybe someone else will step into its shoes, but I am sad to see it go, and I'd like to know what you guys think about that one too. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling. I just want to say thank you so much for watching my channel during 2017. Please stay tuned for some more content in 2018. I'm working on trying to make my videos a bit better quality, spend some time making more detailed videos and reviews and things, and thank you for bearing with me. Merry Christmas, guys, and a Happy New Year. Take care, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.